Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome back to Welbeck Junction. Firstly, we have trains running through the fiddle yard after the power and all the testing's been done. So we're going to start off with a couple of clips of that. And then also I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody that subscribed and liked and fed back some comments on the previous videos. As I've said before, it was never the intention for this to be a channel, so I really do appreciate the feedback I've had. I've had a play around with some of the settings and some of the volumes as mentioned by a couple of people, so I hope this video and going forwards it'll be slightly better viewing for everybody. And what's the focus of this video? Well, it's Backscenes. So in a minute, once the nuclear flash train has passed through, we're going to kick off and we are going to start on building Backscenes. So starting at the garage door end, what I've done here is put a riser in off the main riser from the crossover coming up from the opposite end of the fiddle yard that we are over the top of. And this is to bring the track up slightly, just to allow me to then carry on that incline up, and then to the actual main running line level. Where I have sort of just run my finger there is going to be probably a lower level branch line or single loop, allowing me to sort of run an extra line, so it'll be a fifth line running around. Most of it I've got a feeling will be hidden, but it'll also allow me to have a stage in between the fiddle yard level and the upper running board level. Here I've clamped and glued a couple of pieces of 9mm together to give me an 18mm height, and on top of that is where I am going to mount and fit my point in there, which will then feed either straight on and up the incline or off to the right into the branch line section. Glued and in place with a couple of paint pots, you can sort of see that's where the point is, and then that will continue on up the 3-degree elevation on the Woodland Scenics inclines all the way up, and it'll keep going past the end of the foam there towards the stack on the far right, and then curve around onto the main running height. So this is my point base laid and glued, feeding around there, and then down incline we can see the DCC Concepts power base already glued. Quite happy with that fit. The 18mm works well. And there you go, you can see it, it'll dogleg out to the right there, and why it's doglegging out to the right is because where it doglegs out, that will become a scenic section, and it will pass out of a tunnel portal. So this is a mock-up of the tunnel portal. That'll be where the wall comes in. So what I'm trying to do is just make sure I've got clearances between where the wall will be and the track. So I'm going to have probably quite a steep bank up there to where the back seam will be. And I've got to make sure I've got the clearance between the track and the base of the overhead power poles, and then the upper level running board will sit where I've just put that foam board there. So I've mocked up a couple of tunnel portal entrances at some 3mm card, loosely based at this stage on sort of the Wills kit. I just templated one of those, glued it together, and I'm happy with the mock-up. I think it will work quite well. I'm not necessarily going to say I'm going to use these cantilever arms, but it's a West Hill Wagon Works kit. I do like those. I think they'll paint really well, and I think they'll look really good in place with the Pico wires. With the inclines glued and the point under base ply, I'm not quite sure what I want to call it, in place, I've then glued the cork on top of the incline. So all the way from the garage end all the way up is glued, and then I've gone and put the DCC power base on top. So that's the Infinity controller mounted up on the wall, a bit of conduit down, and then the power will feed underneath. But yeah, all the power base is now in, the point is set, and glued in place, so I'm happy with that. The point motor is powered and fed through underneath. You can see the dog leg coming out there, and then the power base continuing up until it reaches exactly the right height for the running board level. And here is a mock-up of the running board level. Oddly, exactly the same height as the Coke cans, so that works really well. And then another view of it here, so you can sort of see what I'm after is just to try and work out what level I need to start the backboards for the back scenes at. And if you follow your eye line across, you can sort of see how as the incline rises it will reach the bottom of the back scene. And what I want the back scene to do is start at about the same height as the top level running board where the main running lines are going to be, so I can get the maximum height out of the backboards and the back scene. So back scene construction wise, I'm going to go for a 3mm hardboard sheet, and then mount that onto a thin backing frame, allowing me then to mount that up onto the wall. And here you can see a mock-up in place. So actually 3mm boards, 6 foot long, which will allow me to have a nice smooth frontage that I still have to seal, but also give me a decent length that I can handle and manipulate as I need to. So just test fitted a back scene. So this is fully PVA'd, fully filled, ready basically for the back scene. Dropped onto the shelving MDF brackets, just hold it straight. And what I've done across the top is put some command Velcro patches on just to hold it. I did wonder whether they would do the job or not, but the build of the back scenes is square and the wall's pretty square, so they have actually just Velcroed it to the top and just holding it in place really well. So what I might do across the bottom is just put some slightly smaller ones just to hold the bottom in. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. So I'm now going to go on and finish building the ends, get those boarded up and glued, and then we'll have a look at it with those in place. Okay, so backing pull to go around the corner, what I want to do is create the curved view. So I've knocked up a couple of corner brackets in some 18mm ply on quite a tight radius, but it works. And then I've simply whacked together another backing frame to take the boards. This backing frame is a complete width of the garage that I need to do, and what I wanted to do is build the frame in one and then cut it in half to be able to fit it. Also, it's just going to make life a little bit easier. So that's the half I've got to finish. So I've got to extend these legs up now for the run up to the end of the next 6 foot board. But what I have done on the other side, I've actually glued and tacked this curve. So I am going to cut it here, put another brace in, and then the next 6 foot board will run this way. But this one is pinned and glued and clamped at the moment. That's the rear, so you can see where those brackets come in. There's a supporting strut in there which is pinned and glued, and then all the way up to the top. And I think I'm going to have to leave that about another 15-20 minutes, and it should be glued off enough for me to be able to release the pressure. And that curve will start at the end there and then carry round. There'll obviously be the cut in the board here, and then the other one will flow around that side. And if I just walk back and try and give you an idea of the curve, so that's the radius of the curve, which is actually going to be okay, I think. Okay, so the corner piece is in, filled roughly first fill of the holes, so that is in and looking okay. If I pivot up, you can just see the curve. So it is it's quite acute, I think as you pan, even now it looks pretty smooth. So I've cut the board. That's been cut and finished. So now I am working on this side. And if I pan us back round, there it is. It's clamped and it's glued. Again, angle, and then glued at the back as well, up to where the next board will join. So I've got a piece cut to end this board. I'm just in two minds as to whether I extend this board and run it all the way down the wall as one, or whether I do two corner pieces, but I'll work that out in a minute. Okay, so following day, all the boards are filled and sanded back, and now we're going to PVA them. Once they're PVA'd, they'll just take a slightly darker tone, look like that, but it'll give it a great surface for the backscenes to bond onto. So I'm going to slowly just paint this one up with PVA. Already have painted this one. As you can see, the PVA is starting to set on this, and I've literally just painted it. It probably helps. It's about 32 degrees outside at the moment. Although saying that, it isn't 32 degrees in here. The temperature is really, really good. So that is the other curve that's starting to dry. And if I just pan round, this is the other side straight, which you can see is already drying really, really well. And the odd thing is, when you do coat these in PVA, 'cause PVA almost self-levels, it does also just add a completely flat surface over the filler. Although the filler's flat, it just sort of seals it, which is great. So I'm going to crack on, get the other one PVA'd, and then move on to the next step. Okay, so now it is time to stick backboards. So what I've got is I have prepped a length of backscene. I am going to line it up and then do what I think is probably the most effective way of sticking it down. So this is the premium, so this is sticky backed. So I'm going to just reposition the camera, clamp it, and then I'll explain what I've done, and we'll get on with sticking the first piece down. Okay, so backscene's on. I've got it clamped down with a couple of Irwin clamps. Don't use masking tape, because what it'll do is, as you pull the masking tape off, it will actually pull the 3D print off the front of the paper. So these are ID backscenes, really, really good, premium, but they will lose their digital print on the front if you put masking tape on them. So just a couple of little clamps will do the job, and you only need them for a few moments, and then you can strip them off. Okay, so with them still clamped down, first stage to do is to just release the backing film, which is easier said than done when you've got no nails. Now, I tend to peel it back a couple of inches. And then just run my finger across it to give it a little bit of a fold, and then bring it down, and all you're looking to do here is just give it a little bit of adhesion into the right place, and then just check you're happy with the lines. Microfiber cloth best for this, and then just rub it on to get your initial line. In. Okay, so cutting the backscene. The ID backscenes come with a white border at each end, which is fine. They also come with a border at the top and the bottom. The top and the bottom aren't a problem. I tend to leave those on. The best way to cut them: ruler, nice hard dead straight edge, and my trusty scalpel, Swan Morton. It's then a case of lining up on a cutting mat to the very edge of the printed image, running it dead parallel, nice and firm, nice and slowly, just run along the edge. moving the pressure all the way to the end. One dead straight edge. Okay, so with the front edge loosely stuck, next remove the clamps. It will now hold, and generally hold its line as long as you're careful, because the front edge is stuck down. Then I tend to roll back the back seam, grab the adhesive covering from the back and just pull it, and do about two and a bit inches at a time, and just gently just lay it down. Now, if you're not careful, you can get air bubbles. Now, I'm quite lucky. I've actually done a fair bit of vinyl in the past. Now, the trick with it is to work slowly, work methodically, clean your area before you do it. So I've wiped the backboards down with a microfiber beforehand, a different microfiber. Then I'm sort of working about 2.5, 3 inches of backboard at a time from the middle, working out. So go into the middle, then go out to the sides, and there is no air bubbles in that section whatsoever. If you do get an air bubble, you can peel it back slightly. It will let you do that. You've got to be careful that you don't tear it, because if you tear it, you're not going to get it to line up properly. But just gently work your way along. Because we stuck the front edge down first and then have worked our way along, it's holding the top edge perfectly, holding it perfectly straight. I think the key with having a really good backboard finish is actually the time that you spend on building the backboards. So these have all been built, tacked, where the tacks have gone in, have been filled. I then sand it, fill it again, revisit it if it needs filling for a third time to get it perfectly level, do it. And then before I've done any adhesion of the backboards, I've come along with a neat PVA mix and painted the shiny side of the hardboard with a PVA mix, and what that leaves you is a perfectly good finish. That's one on, job done, no air bubbles. Okay, so Backscenes stuck on, followed the same process, gently working down through, microfiber cloth, no air bubbles whatsoever. So that's all the Backscenes done, and I've had a bit of progress today in the fact that they're now actually mounted. So I've got the whole of the far side, as I'm going to call it, wrapping around the corner, across the top, and then back down the near side towards the door. So they are all on, stuck on fine. Pleased I went with the curves. I think that actually looks pretty good as you swing across. I think it's quite a smooth transition around those curves. I did have a few people maybe saying they were a bit tight, but they work absolutely fine. Gives you as much depth as you can in the corner, and then sweeps all the way down to the far corner. So here is another backboard piece, because the one section I haven't done yet is across here. So that board is cut, ready for that corner, and then I've got another piece cut and prepped to go across the back. And there's a little tiny section ready to go around the stack in the corner there. So we've got that bit left to do. But yeah, really pleased. Backboards are on and looking really good. Really pleased with that so far. Okay, so with the backboards in and installed, the next key thing really for some levels is to work out the exact running height of the main deck. So the coat cans are oddly the same height as the fillets I've cut to suspend the running deck when they've got the 9mm board on top. So with those there, what I can do is drop on a piece of 9mm ply. I'm going to cut the far corner over there, so I'm going to cut the circular piece there, and then bring it back in and offer it up again. I've got a stencil that I've already made, which will show me the bend for the 4 lines running, so I can place that over the top, and then from there start working sort of how wide that's going to be to then allow some space for the lower running line or the branch line as well. So I'll go and cut that, bring it back in, drop it into place, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so with the backboards in, it's now time really to put in the base main track bed. So as you can see here, I have got it raised up on some little plinths, and what you can see there is the 9mm ply, which is going to actually make the main track bed for the 4 running lines. Behind is the incline or decline out of the fiddle yard, and at the front there's a little bit of space as well. Coming around, obviously loops around the back, and there's my 4 running line template, so I know I've got the space, and then that then bridges across onto this board, and there's the incline coming out at the back, and I've got a couple of braces on here now. So next sort of stage here is to put the board across that end, make sure it's level with this board, and then cut it to start it coming down this side. There are going to be some legs and some stilts in there to keep it up. It'll be running 2 heights. That'll be a little bit easier to explain when we come back. And there is also some rises in there where there's going to be some lines coming through. One will be pointed off of the incline decline at the back, and the other one will loop back around towards this side. So I've got to get the unit doors on. I've been waiting to do that, along with waiting to carpet tile the floor until I've got the bulk of the wood cut, so I haven't got to keep hoovering sawdust out of carpet. So as soon as I have got the main running board level height pieces in, I'm then going to drop the carpet tiles down onto the floor, because it'll just be a nicer space to walk around in, to be honest, and get the doors onto the units, which will just massively tidy up everything. I've got a bit of a major tidy up then, just to get everything packed in where I want it, get rid of all the offcuts of wood, get the beer and other household cleaning products tidied away, and then that will make this space a lot cleaner and a lot easier to work with. I suppose what I'm also thinking about now as I'm working and casting shadows over things is just what I'm going to do about the lighting. I'm leaning towards running a suspended LED system on wires and just hang it at the right level above the layout, but I want to get the running board level on, so I understand sort of what height that is, and I can play around with some different LED setups. So again, that's something I'll think about in the future, and that is the Infinity control unit, and where that lives up on that purpose position little corner unit, corner shelf. I've got a bit of conduit running down there with the cables in it, and then that feeds underneath the boards and goes to wherever power districts it needs to go to. I have behind that fitted a switch from, I think they're called RK Education, and all it is doing is allowing me to toggle on and off power for the programming track, or the fiddle yards, or the main running board, so I can flick on and off
any issues that I've got to test the track, or if I just want to kill a section of track, as well as being able to split the terminal blocks that I've got built into the baseboards. I can just kill the main power coming out directly as well. I have left one toggle free because what I want to do up on that wall there is get a DCC Concepts mimic board built for up there for the fiddle yard, and then for the main points on the layout as well. So that's my plan for there. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope that gives you an idea of where we are with the layout. I will be back very shortly with another update, hopefully with this section at running board height. I could do some work then on roughly where the lines are going to be, and then switch my focus to the area behind me, which has been a little bit neglected up till this point, but the power is in, all the bus wires are in, the incline's up to there, that's ready to be joined up to the next section. So yeah, we're getting there, we're moving along. We just need a little bit more time and some focused energy in here and just get this up to the next level, and then we might be able to get some trains running further than about 25 foot. If you're enjoying the process, please like and subscribe, follow us on Insta, and we'll be back again soon. Thanks all.